Hello, good morning learners. In today's computer class, we will discuss about three topics. First is what is the need of an operating system. Second is about operating systems, kernel and shell. And last we will discuss about various functions of an operating system. Okay, so let's start. As in the Zoom class, we have discussed about the role of operating system. Okay, so today let's start with the need for operating system. Although these all points are covered in the role of operating system, because basically what the role it plays. Okay, so that's why we need an operating system. So in this picture you all can see, I'm starting with this point. First point, handles input and output device. So basically, as we all knows that computer in itself, it's a machine, although so it's made up of hardware, and hardware in itself is a kind of machine. Okay, it's a designed machinery, and ultimately we need some source, or we need an operator who can operate those hardwares or who can operate the machines. Okay, so interacting as a user, we use the system, but we need a system to operate those hardwares, to manage those hardwares. So it's nothing, it is an operating system which does all these tasks. So first is it handles input and output device. So for an computer system, we need a source, or we need an operator who can handle the input and output devices. So we need an operating system for that. We need a system for recognizing and installing peripheral devices. So it's also does by operating system. We need a system for managing files and folders. Okay, as in the role of operating system, I have explained all these points, if you all remember. Okay, and for share out systems memory, for handling, it handles system errors and alert user. It's related to the information and resource protection. Okay, it manages system security. It's provide you the facility of creating password, or for the facility of creating users in your system. Okay, you can create an admin user, and you can create some limited users in your system. Okay, so that you can keep an eye that no unauthorized access of your system information should be there. Okay, it allows software to communicate with hardware. Basically, it is not only provide interface between user and the hardware, it also works as a link between software and hardware. And I told you that whenever we install, or whenever we connect any hardware with the system, so along with that hardware, some programs are also installed in operating system. So through those programs, it communicates with hardwares. And we need an operating system to move data to and from the hard disk. Means it's related to the manipulation of file system. If you remember, move data to and from the hard disk means we need a program. So whenever we want to save, or whenever we want to move our data in the hard disk, so an operating system saves or moves our data in the hard disk. And whenever we want to retrieve the data, or whenever we want to access our data, so again it's read from the hard disk, and it shows the data or information to us on any output device. It is also necessary for loading and running other software applications, because application softwares works with the help of system softwares. Okay, so these all are the points which we can define as the need for an operating system. Okay, next we have the topic operating system, shell and kernel. I explained in very short while explaining about the role of operating system. I have also explained about kernel and shell, and now I'm explaining in detail. So as you all know that the basic task or the basic role of an operating system is providing interface between the user and hardware. So for performing, it performs so many things. It performs all the internal tasks, and it performs control the input output devices also. So it performs variety of tasks. So for operating system in itself, it has divided it into two parts. First is shell and another is kernel. Okay, so first I will explain you about a shell, because we are reading that it is an interface between the user and hardware, so how it is managing all the tasks. So this operating system has broadly two components. First is shell and second is kernel. Okay, so first the shell. The shell part is responsible for interacting with the users. As I explained in the last class, that it deals with the GUI environment. So basically the user interact with the graphical user interface, the GUI environment I have explained. Okay, so the shell part is responsible for interacting with user, and the kernel part is responsible for interacting with hardware. Means it manages all the internal processes or internal task. So apart from that, the shell of an operating system, what it does, basically it does three tasks. First, the shell get the command and instructions from the user, because suppose you want to open my computer. So what you will do, you will double click on the icon of my computer. So when you are double clicking from the mouse, so this shell will get your command from the mouse, that you are giving input from the mouse, and then it translates the received command and instructions into machine language. Then it will convert your command in machine language that you are double clicking from the mouse. So it will convert that instruction in machine code and pass the translated command to the kernel to get it done. And then what it does, it passes the command to the kernel. Now its job is done. Now kernel will handle the input output operation. Now this request will send to the kernel. So then what kernel will do, kernel will understand that okay, this instruction is coming from the mouse, is a command for double clicking, means the system has to open the particular folder of my computer. So then kernel will contact with that particular program with the help of input device instructions, and it will find that what to do next. Then it will send the command to the output device, to the monitor, then show this detail. So show the my computer, contents of my computer. Okay, so now you all can see that shell is working on the upper layer. Okay, and the kernel works in the lower level or at the lower layer of operating system. Now I'm going to kernel here. See, yes, here you all can see what a kernel does. It does all the process management, because what a shell does, it just get the request from the user and it convert it and forward it to the kernel. Then kernel contact with all the input and output devices, and it does the management of process, that from where this process is coming, this what to do in this process. Is it for opening any folder, or is it for typing, or is it for saving, or for which purpose it is. Okay, it manages the file system also. Like suppose if you requested to save any file, so what the shell will get your command, it will convert it, and then the kernel will save your file at last. It will find the location in the computer memory, in the secondary memory, or wherever you want to save your file. Means you will select the location where you want to save your file, in any drive, or where you want to save, in any other removable media you want to save. So the kernel will find that location and it will save your file at that location. Memory management, it does the memory management. Suppose you have deleted any file from the computer, then the free memory, it should be deallocated, because as you save any file in the system, so the kernel allocates the memory, and as you will delete that file, or as you will move that file from there, so the kernel will deallocate that memory. Okay, if it will deallocate, then it will come in the free space. That memory will come in the free space in computer. Okay, time management is very important in computer system, because as we open the system, so just CPU just get busy for all the time, it does many works one by one. So the timer management is very important, and kernel does it by dividing the time to many processes, means the processes which are running on the computer at a time, so it do the management of time among those processes, so that the processes may execute on time, and there should not be any clashing between the processes. Okay, interrupt and event handling. See, this happens when the system get overburdened, means you just gave command, and the system just get puzzled. So what happens, suppose there are so many processes and the CPU is not able to handle, or the time management is going very crucial for kernel. So what it does, it interrupt certain processes, because what happens when multiple processes runs inside the computer, and the CPU is not able to provide the time slot for each process. So what it does, the kernel stops certain processes which are not necessary for that time, or the processes on which user is not focusing. So it just stops those processes, and it gives you event handling messages also. The messages may be related to that, it may be related to the memory space, it may be related to the availability of any other resource. Okay, so basically what we say is that an operating system does this or that. So basically this kernel does all those tasks. So the cell works on the upper level, and the kernel works at the lower level and does all these tasks for an operating system. Okay, now next come to the next important topic of the chapter is functions of operating system. So till here I hope that you all can understand what functions an operating system actually performs. Okay, so here I have mentioned 5 points, and broadly we can categorize the functions of operating system in 3 categories: essential functions, monitoring functions, and service functions. Okay, so about these categories I will explain later. First I'm going to explain about processor management. Okay, so right now I was talking about that in computer system many processes runs at the same time. Okay, so the processor management is related to the availability of CPU to different running programs or applications. Okay, because what is a process? A process is a running application or program. So processor management means providing or allocating the CPU to various running processes or applications at the same time. Okay, because if processor will not be available for processes, then processes cannot take place, the processes will not run. So it make the CPU available for all the processes. Okay, and what it does, it schedules the operating system schedules the processes, then first which process will come. Okay, and if the CPU is free, so then second process may come. It controls the processes and it monitors the processes, that if one process is completed, so it makes the CPU free from there. And in allocate means is to assign CPU to another process. Okay, basically if you want to go in detail, so when any process runs inside the system, so it is divided into many states. First when it enters, it comes in waiting state, then it comes in ready state, then it comes in running state. Okay, and if it needs to wait for any resource, so it comes in waiting state. Okay, so and when a resource is allocated to the process, so it completed, and at the last it ends. Okay, next is memory management. Memory management functions, you can understand this is the very important part of the computer, the memory management, because we deals with the memory whenever we work on system. Okay, whenever you start any program, so it runs on the primary memory, and as you save it in the computer, so it goes in secondary memory. So an operating system manages all the memory, means either its primary memory or its secondary memory, and this function allocates memory to the running process and deallocates memory from the processes when the process get ended or it get completed. Okay, next is file management. File management function means the operating system governs the permanent storage and retrieval of data from hard disk. Means when you save any file, or when you want to open any file, so if you have saved, so obviously you have saved in the secondary storage, or if you have saved in the hard disk. Okay, and if you have saved in any other media, in pen drive or anywhere else, so as you insert that pen drive, so the operating system retrieve your data. Retrieve means it access from there, it read from there and shows to you, and when you close it, so again it send it back to your memory location. So it ensures the proper saving of data at the appropriate location wherever you want to save. So it identify either you want to save in hard disk, or you want to save in a pen drive, or you want to copy from pen drive and you want to save in hard disk, or you want to copy from hard disk or want to save in pen drive. Okay, so it's only related with the saving of your file in the proper memory location. Okay, next feature is device management. Device management means each and every device which is connected with your system, like proper handling of input and output devices basically, because devices which are connected with computer is either input or output device. So the device management is related to the management of input and output devices. So what happens here, I again wants to mention the device drivers, because with each and every input or output device, one device driver is program is associated with, and it is installed in the system. So the operating system function ensure smooth reading from the input device and smooth sending to the correct output device. Last is user interface. This is very well explained till here. Number of time I have explained this point. So the operating system establish the interface between user and hardware. It provides the user friendly environment so that user may easily get connected with the computer, and it can the user can easily use the computer system. Okay, it provides different standards or set of commands which controls the hardware for providing user friendly environment. Okay, so it's all about the functions of computer. In the next class we will be discussing about remaining topics of this chapter. Okay, so till then, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.